Yesterday, I was doing the story of Rodrigo to Arsenal, and I told you about. I left a question behind on who do you think is obviously going to be a better replacement for Jorginho, who is obviously going to be leaving from Arsenal to Flamengo in the summer. And most of you went into the comment section and you were hitting on Zubimendi. And hours later, after me uploading this video, guess what happened? Zubimendi dropped a very huge update onto the deal of Zubimendi to the club of Arsenal. You know, during the January transfer window, Aito and Edu had gone ahead to obviously get everything done and dusted. And it was reported by David Austin, Sammy McBell, and very many others that Arsenal had agreed personal terms with Martín Zubimendi. And why was Arsenal okay to really do the needful and really agree personal terms with Martín Zubimendi? The reason was simple. Martín Zubimendi had a release clause of 60 million euros. And every time you have a release clause, that means you don't, a partner or a party that is interested in signing you doesn't need to get an authority from the club to talk to you. You understand? All they have to is talk to the client they want, because they know to it that if you raise that amount of money of 60 million euros, you're obviously signing the player. So it's a here we go sounded by Fabrizio Romano today. Yesterday night, it was all about personal terms agreed. And now here we go, sounded by Fabrizio Romano. Welcome to Rokani Media Football. Hope you guys are really having fun. Continue to subscribe. I told you, we are really into the summer transfer window, though it is opening on the 1st of June and then closing, and then it will open around the mid of June. So Arsenal literally wants to sign these players and obviously get them signed or really registered under the club of Arsenal before they even go for the preseason. So let's see what really happened yesterday that led us to a here we go in here onto the Rokani Media Football. This is a side known as Zubimendi. He's a sports broadcaster, senior football correspondent, Give Me Sport, Premier League commentator, and Talk Sport Live. He has told us that Arsenal have an agreement in principle in place to sign Martín Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Deal only pending formalization. Although Arsenal are cautious given Zubimendi has changed his mind in the past, there is now a full agreement in place with the player, Edu and Jason Aito, the driving forces behind the deal, even though Zubimendi is now expected to become the first signing of Andrea Batha. Now, that's what we got yesterday night, and we obviously enjoyed it because I like it when teams really go aggressive, like especially for the team of Arsenal. With Jorginho leaving, they are trying to get in his replacement as soon as possible. And Zubimendi looks like he's the chosen one. And by the way, when you look at Zubimendi and Jorginho, they almost have the same style of play. Their composure, their passing accuracy, the passing range, their football brain, the way they interpret the game, the game awareness is really up there. And I tell you what, it's not a deal that I think Arsenal has just gone to go in for it, because if you've been following this channel for some time, you know to it that Arsenal have been chasing Zubimendi from the summer of 2023, summer of 2024, and finally summer of 2025. Here he comes and arrives at the club of Arsenal. So that is it for the club of Arsenal. They've gone ahead to obviously bury off this deal. Now Zubimendi is here we go. Fabrizio Romano today came and told us that Arsenal agreed deal to sign Martín Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Here we go. Zubimendi has now verbally agreed to sign a long-term deal, so formal steps must follow soon with Arsenal to trigger the 60 million release clause. Zubimendi ready to become the first signing of the new season. Now, Zubimendi has agreed to sign a deal with Arsenal. And this is a story that was really given to us in January 2025. So that really shows you that we have to give kudos to Sammy McBell, who no longer works at the Mail, but works with BBC, and David Austin. So formal steps are yet to follow. Arsenal has to trigger the 60 million release clause, and Zubimendi is set to become the first signing for the club of Arsenal this summer. And when a story of Zubimendi, sorry, when the story of Gyökeres was broken by the man at NBC, a New York Times, and The Athletic, David Austin, we are all like, all right, it's the big one that has dropped, and maybe Arsenal, we are going to sign Victor Gyökeres fast. Now, Arsenal like, maybe the deal of Victor Gyökeres is not obviously going to happen in time, but there is a deal that we can obviously get done and dusted. That's of Martín Zubimendi, and yet the player had given us his yes, and let's obviously get him fast, because if we take long without signing the player, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man City were in there to obviously sign the player. So I think that has really paid a lot. That has played a lot in Arsenal getting this deal done and dusted. So you can also praise Andre Batha, that when he comes into the club of Arsenal, he was like, let me obviously use the Gyökeres story as a decoy, such that every team that is interested in Zubimendi is like, let's take our time, because Arsenal, that had already gone ahead to agree personal terms with Martín Zubimendi, is obviously focusing on Gyökeres, and they're really buying some time. And yet he was really doing things in the background, and the story dropping that the deal is done and dusted shows you the masterclass of Andre Batha. And this shows you how experience beats even the people that are really learning on the job, because we all believe that Edu built that project of Arsenal, and the level at which they had reached, it needed someone who really had experience on how to really take teams to the elite level of winning. Because if Arsenal were knocked out of the Champions League last season on the quarterfinals, and this season they've gone ahead to be knocked out on the semi-finals, that shows you that there is something that lacked. And what lacked is a sporting director who has experience to know which kind of players are needed to obviously thrive at the club of Arsenal. So, as it stands right now, the club of Arsenal is doing these signings early enough, and don't be shocked that next week we obviously get in a deal of Gyökeres done and dusted. You understand? So we're here to wait and see how that pans out. But Andre Batha is really doing all what he has to do. He's doing his best to see to it that he really gets these deals over the line, and by the time Arsenal start to prepare for their pre-season, all will be done and great. And when you look at Arsenal and their pre-season, let me check when they're obviously going to be playing their first game. Arsenal will play their first game. Will play their first game of the preseason against Milan, and they'll be in Singapore. You understand? That is, it's 23rd July. They have to play against Newcastle. 27th July, they have against Tottenham Hotspur on the 31st of July. All those games are really going to be played in what we call Asia. That's where Arsenal is going to be like. So, if they're going to be playing on the 17th of July, that means the players will have to report towards the end of June. And looks like the sporting director and Arteta have agreed that they have to have the spine signings of Arsenal with them, training with them at the beginning of the pre-season, such that they play all these games and they sink into that. And one of those that is approved is Martín Zubimendi. And let's give kudos to the man known as David Austin, who kept spot on that Zubimendi was obviously going to be coming to Arsenal. And he put up this on the 14th of January, that Martín Zubimendi already closed 60 million euros. My understanding is that Arsenal might look to pay a bit more so that they can stagger the payments, and that would allow them to do other businesses next summer. So that's what he said. And even on the 24th of April, that is last month, he came out and told us that Arsenal will be adding to the midfield with the arrival of Zubimendi. Arsenal are acting internally as though Zubimendi is a done deal. So he was like, Arsenal and Zubimendi, it's a done deal. So guys, your thoughts on Zubimendi to Arsenal, here we go. I welcome in the comment section below. Rokani David remains my name. And one will say that Arsenal have gone ahead to get this deal of Zubimendi done and dusted immediately, because they know to it that the reaction from fans is not really nice, as they are knocked out of the Champions League and they've gone ahead to put out this. And remember, they used this same story to really calm down the hearts of Arsenal fans that maybe Arsenal was going to sign a player during the January transfer window. They dropped this story around mid-January, 13th, 14th this year, and fans were like, if they've gone in for Zubimendi and they've gone ahead to agree personal terms, that means Arsenal obviously have to go in for forward. And that was exactly what the board of Arsenal really wanted, because they never wanted to spend any coin. And towards the end of the winter transfer window, a story dropped that Arsenal had gone ahead to make a bid of £40 million for Oli Watkins. You understand? And Aston Villa wanted 60, and fans were like, all right, they tried, they level based, and they really failed. Now that they've been knocked out of the Champions League and the fans are really very, very, very furious at the board of Arsenal, the board has gone ahead to play them a spin game, and they've gone ahead to really sign Martín Zubimendi. I don't know what your thoughts are about it, but he's a good addition. And this looks like it's going to be a different summer altogether for Arsenal, because they brought in players that were not all that elite and proven. But for Martín Zubimendi, he's proven and is a player that everyone in the Premier League is obviously going to be loving to watch. Now, the big question is, how will he fit in this team of Arsenal, as Arsenal is willing to obviously offer Thomas Partey a new contract? Rokani David is my name. I'm out. Bye-bye. Your reactions on Zubimendi to Arsenal, here we go. A welcome into the comment section below. Bye-bye.